Hello, welcome back to Raising Arrows Mom. Today I'm going to share my second graders curriculum choices. Really, it's a big old stack of books. So, as you can see, I'm going to share her independent work. I'm not going to go over what we do as a family today, just some of her independent things, and then a quick example of kind of how I might lay it out next year. I'm still working on finalizing our schedule. So, first things first, is she is finishing up her Bible reader this year, and so she's going to move into her King James Bible that she got for when she turned 6, and so she is going to start in Genesis, and we're going to just work our way through the Bible slowly. So that is what she's going to be doing for Bible. She has a list of things that she does every day that she knows she has to do, so those will continue. I will let her choose a poem book. I always let my kids choose their own poem book. We have a large selection, so she will get to choose one of those and read one poem a day. Copywork, we're going to begin doing cursive, and I share about that in another video, I believe, with some of my free printables. But I will share more as I get that together, because I do our own thing with that, of course. And she does extra math every day to just have a little extra practice with that mental math, and you can pay for the app or you can do it online for free, and we do the free option. She practices her piano 20 minutes a day or thereabouts, and then next year we're going to be introducing ukulele. She'd been doing handbells, but she was gifted a ukulele for Christmas, and so I found some online lessons, and we're going to try to do a few minutes every day of that. And then every day she has a recitation. So those are her normal. She's already, after year 1, she's got that rhythm down. And then every day she'll have morning time or family activities that we do all together. Not every day, but most days. And then she'll also have a small period where she does her readings with me, because she's only in 2nd grade. She is a great reader, but she's not quite ready to do some of these all on her own, and I'm not really ready to have her do that. And so we will have a short time together each day where we read together and do her math lesson. We are using Charlotte Mason Elementary Math. She will be doing Charlotte Mason Elementary Math and Elementary Arithmetic, and she will be probably finishing up Volume 1. I'm guessing she will finish it up the first few weeks of school, and then move on to Volume 2, and we'll just probably skip the review section since we won't take much of a break over the summer from math. So she'll be doing that, and then it's into her readings, and her readings are going to look a little different, and I'm going to have to do a whole separate video about her history. But I will dive into that. So first up, let's do her science or nature. So we follow the Charlotte Mason principle. We don't introduce a science curriculum until 4th grade, and so hers is just very much nature lore and nature study, and we do a lot of that together, but she does her nature lore independently, and so she has some books that she will be able to read on her own. So we will be working through the Eyes and No Eyes series, and we may do all of them, we may just do some of them. We'll do these for 2 terms, and I kind of just let them pick and choose which of them they want, because I want them to be interested in it. And so these are from Living Book Press. They're a great print. They have beautiful pictures inside. I love that it has real images in it. And so the first one is Wildlife in the Woods and Fields, Trees and Shrubs, Birds of the Air by Pond and River, Plant Life in Field and Garden, and Insect Life. And you could use those for the whole year. I like to give them a little bit of choice. And then the last term, because we do 3 terms, we will do some of the choices from Burgess Animal Book. We usually read the several Burgess stories that are separate, that are not in this particular one, during year zero or kindergarten year, and so it's nice to revisit them and to learn about a couple of different animals. I don't think we've ever done the whole book. We just pick and choose a few for a term, and so do like 1 a week. And then that is our science for grade 2. And then we'll go into literature, and I'm going to do, again, kind of the classic literature and the modern literature. And so each of my kids will have 2 books in each for the year. So it'll just, the pacing will depend on how many chapters and how much they're able to read. And then I'll have some, obviously we have you can't see in here, but I have an extensive library in the other room. And so if they finish those 2, they can pick another book. But her classics and her modern are kind of similar. I'm going with modern as in it's more, her moderns are not quite as modern as I probably would pick, just because she is good at reading, and so I'm not worried about her not picking up certain books. Anyways, I digress. We're gonna start with Understood Betsy. I always, let me turn it so you can see. I always do Understood Betsy in second grade. I absolutely love this book. I just got a cheap copy and it's nice printing. I don't know what printing it is. Henry and Holt Company. But it's decent. It's hardback. It's got some pictures in it. But it follows the story of a girl who lives in town, is having some issues, has to go out of town in the early 1900s to live with family in the country because her other family is ill, and she just really learns a lot about herself. And me as a mom, I always love reading this aloud because I learn a lot about myself in this. And so we will always start with Understood Betsy in grade 2, and then we will do Princess and the Goblin by George MacDonald. This is kind of a love it or hate it kind of book, because you do have goblins and they are rather vile. But this is the only I've read 2. I've read The Light Princess too. But I love this book by George MacDonald. I want to read more of him, but I think I skipped this with my last job because she's just got a very sensitive spirit, and I didn't think she would appreciate the goblins. But this child has a very imaginative, creative spirit. I think she will very much love the mysterious world of the Princess Curdie and the Goblins. And so those are her 2 old classic really. And then she has her more modern classics, and there's actually 3 because 2 of them are super short. And they go kind of along with the time period. We're doing 19th century, or 20th century rather, 1900s to modern. And so we have Sarah Plain Tall, and I'm gonna actually have her read that aloud to me. And then we have The 100 Dresses, which I will read to her. And these are both really short. And so we will read these 2. Well, she'll do one, and then when she's done, she'll read the other. I think it's only like 5 chapters in each or something like that. It's ridiculously short. And then we'll finish the year with Roald Dahl's James and the Giant Peach, because again, she has such a big imagination, and I think she will absolutely love this classic. And so that's our literature for the year for my second grader. And so that kind of rounds that out. Then for geography, we will be doing physical geography and using the kinetic sand that we got. I was really inspired by the ADE virtual conference and by, why can't I think of her name? But Charlotte Mason Beehive over in UK. And she did a demonstration on how to do physical geography. I'm so inspired. I came home and started doing it with my first grader, and she really loved it. So we'll be working through this and basically just learning the terms and then trying to make them with kinetic sand, and then identifying when we can on real maps and atlases. We'll do that once a week. And then also once a week, where did it go? Well, I had it. We'll be doing Charlotte Mason, I don't know where it went. Charlotte Mason Geography, and that just goes through some basic concepts. The sun rises in the east, sets in the west, north, south, east, west, all those kind of things. And they're very short chapters. Some of them it's just a poem. And so we'll be working our way through that. That's something we've done several times with my other kids. So that's geography for her. And then she'll be doing map work along with the rest of us. I think we're gonna do Europe. I'm not sure. And then we're going on to history, and we're going to have a history spine that we do in our morning time 3 times a week. And then they each have some individual history readings as well as biographies. And I've shared extensively about how we do that, and I will be sharing more. If you want to find out how we do our history streams versus spines, all that, look at the previous video I posted, and I go into a little bit more detail, and I'll be talking about our specific history study for this year in a whole separate video because it's a whole thing with the 20th century. But I digress. Each week I hope to read 2 days a week from a picture book. And so I have some. I have been trying to buy 1 picture book for each decade at least to have that we own in the house. And then the rest we'll be getting from the library. And I have a giant stack. And then hopefully at the end of the year or at the end of terms, I can share that book list with what we really liked and which ones we didn't. But here are the ones I own that we will be doing for the very first part of the year. I have a Pepe the Lamplighter, which just kind of talks about, I believe they're in New York. I can't even remember now. But it has some beautiful images. Kind of gives you an insight into life in the city in those early years in America. And so it's a Caldecott winner. It's beautiful. It's a simple story. Definitely, you can read it in one sitting book because it's got huge pictures, but it kind of talks about just those hard times and what it was like to be poor in the cities during the early years in America. And then also, because we'll be talking about World War I at the beginning, I have 2 Winnie the Pooh books. Winnie the Pooh? No. I have Finding Winnie, which talks about the true story of the world's most famous bear. So if you don't know, Winnie the Pooh by A.A. Milne is inspired by an actual bear that was at their zoo. And this goes through that story of the actual bear who was found. And anyways, I'm not gonna go through the whole story, but it talks about him all the way through. So I have this one, which is a Caldecott medal, and I really like this one. But I also saw this one and went ahead and purchased it from Thrift Books, and it's Winnie, the true story of the bear who inspired Winnie the Pooh. So it's just same story, different author, different pictures. And I really liked this one because it did include in front of the dust jacket some actual photographs, which I always love. And it has some information, but it also has beautiful illustrations in it. And so while it's not a Caldecott medal winner, I still really love it. So I think we'll probably end up doing both, because why not? Winnie the Pooh is amazing. And so that will be, we'll do twice a week, we'll do it. So if it's a longer picture book, we'll do half one day and half another, or maybe a third and finish it the next week. We're really loose with our history picture books. But picture books are just so great, and I love getting them from the library or owning them, because even my big kids will sit down and read them, even though they're part of my younger child's curriculum. Then we have biographies, and if you saw the last video, you know I'm psychotic, and I have 9 biographies for each kid each year. We have 3 for our history studies, 3 for Christian heroes of that same time period, and then 3 scientists that may or may not be from that time period and roughly align with what we're studying in the older kids are studying in science. So it is what it is. This kid has 3 for each, but I would be happy if we get through 2 in each category. So let me go through. I'll start with the Christian heroes because they're here at the front. So like I said, ideally we'll do 1 per term. But if we only get through 2 because timing and things like that, I'm okay with that. It's harder when you have this many kids who all need you to be able to read extensively with the younger ones, and when they're not quite independent. So the first one we're gonna read, we're gonna start out with a bang. John and Betty Stam, To Die is Gain. They are martyrs in the Boxer Rebellion. That's gonna be a hard one, but I know we just finished Jonathan Goforth as a family, and so I know my daughter's prepared for it. But yes, so this will be an interesting. Then we will be doing The Watchmaker's Daughter by Corrie ten Boom, which my daughter already knows a lot about Corrie ten Boom. We've watched the Torchlighter videos, so that one isn't any new information, but she will enjoy both of those. And then if we have time, we will be doing the Billy Graham, which is somehow much smaller. But Billy Graham, Just Get Up Out of Your Seat. So these are all trailblazers. There is another trailblazer that is by Dave and Netta Jackson, also good. Just a different series with the same title. But we are going to be reading these together. And so that's our Christian hero. Like I said, hopefully we'll get through 2. If we're lucky, we'll get through the 3rd. And then science is a little bit different. We'll be doing, along with her sisters, when they do, we'll start out the year, first of all, with a botany John Audubon biography here. And this is one that is simple enough that she can read, but I will probably end up reading it aloud to her, or maybe do partner reading where I read a page and then she reads a page. And so we'll get a little bit about John Audubon. And then the others are going to go along with her sisters. They're going to be doing a chemistry unit. So she's going to read Marie Curie. And this one is beautiful, very simple. It has vocabulary highlighted, so you can use the glossary at the back. It has some illustrations, and it's a fairly big font. It's a pretty thin book, so she'll be able to read that alone if I can't get around to helping her. But about Marie Curie. And then when my older kids do a physics unit, we're going to read about Albert Einstein. And I had purchased this book because the age level and the samples, I don't know, I just didn't think, but I don't know that we'll read this. It's a little bit, I like the pictures, but it's a little bit more reading than I hope. So maybe we'll just get a picture book about Albert Einstein for her to finish up the year. And we'll do that through the library. And then last but not least, we have our history biographies. And these, again, we have 3, but hopefully if we only get through 2, I'm happy. We're going to start out the year with Teddy Roosevelt. These Childhood of Famous Americans are good early readers. Are they the best writing in the world? No. I would still call them living books, but they are for younger kids. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So even though this is nearly 200 pages, you've got big prompt, big margins, you've got images every so often, but it is definitely meant for a younger reader. It says 8 to 12. This is way too easy for 4th, 5th, and 6th graders, in my opinion. And so, but we do enjoy that series. So we'll be doing that. Then we will be doing Heroes of World War II, Stories for Kids, and How 7. This particular one is How 75 Soldiers Were Saved by One Man, which is the story of Desmond Doss. And Desmond Doss, if you don't know, is the movie Hacksaw Ridge was about him. But he was a Quaker who wanted to do his part and serve in the United States military during World War II, but he refused to shoot anyone. And he has just an amazing story. And so we're going to read this one. This has very few images, okay? So very few. It does have a lot of words. It's going to be, I mean, you can't, it's World War II. You can't pass up the violence, okay? So keep that in mind when you're reading these kind of things. But I think it'll be good. It says it's by Living History. I thought that was like the History Channel symbol at first, and I was like, no, I don't want that. But it's Living History, and so it looks really good. They have several in this series. They have another one I want to get about the, I don't know. I'll share about it in another bit, but they have another one that I really like. And then if time allows, at the end of the year, we're going to finish with The Story of Nelson Mandela, which is, you can see it says a biography book for new readers. And it's the same group as the Marie Curie one. So same thing, you're going to have pictures, you're going to have a vocabulary words, and you're going to have pretty simple writing. There's a couple of flow charts and things like that throughout. So we're going to end with some Nelson Mandela, just get a little bit more world history in there. And that's it. So that's it for her individual things. Everything else we'll do together. That'll touch on all those other subjects that you think of with the feast. But for her independent work, that's what she'll do for the whole year. And like I said, we're putting in a few extras. If we don't get to them all, I'm okay with that. And I was going to pop up, this is a sample of what I did with my 4th grader last year. And I just reworked it for my 2nd grader so you can see a schedule. So I'll pop that up here. And this is just a checklist. I'm like, this is not set in stone for next year because we don't know our schedule. We may be doing 5 days instead of 4 days. We may take Mondays off and not Fridays. I don't know. But if I was going to plan this all out, here's what the schedule would look like. And I would have her daily things that she needs to do each day in the first box, and she just goes through those, and she does those pretty much independently. I'll fill in what Bible lesson I want her to read, and her ukulele I'll have to do with her because it's on YouTube, and her recitation she says to me, but everything else on there she does completely independently. Then her math and her readings she'll do with me each day, and that's going to be roughly about 30 to 45 minutes to be able to get all that in. Again, that depends on the readings, depends how much I pass off and have her do on her own. Maybe I'll have her do the picture books by herself or whatever. But those are things she's going to have to at least recite back to me, or not recite, narrate back to me in an oral narration. And then at the very bottom of the page, I have things that we're going to do every week. And I put this on here really to hold myself accountable because then the kids are like, I need to check it off. So I have map work, and I'll write down whatever we need to do in our map work. We're continuing Book of Marvels. We're going very slowly through that, but we enjoy it. And so we'll continue to add to their notebooks there. Book of Centuries, Charlotte Mason doesn't recommend that until the older years. I just have them start early because we really are bad at that. And so let's try and start it earlier. Phenology Wheel, once a week they need to update it, if not daily. History Timelines, we use Leslie Manning's from the CM, I think it's from the CM Trenches. I'll link her shop below, but she has some great timelines that are super helpful. And then they need to work on their handicraft at least once each week. And so that is how I'm going to approach my 2nd grader's year. She is going to be turning 7 next week. So she is a young 2nd grader. But I think she'll do just fine with all of this. Like I said, there's a lot that I'm trying to do with her, and that is hard to balance with the older kids. And so we're still working on the schedule and how we can make it work. Part of that is we have to wait for those music lessons to know when those will be and when we'll be in town. Ideally, this is how we will work it out. And we try to do 4 days of school and have 1 day that is more adventure day, activity, or, catch-up day. And so 1 day I don't schedule things specifically each week. we'll see how that goes for next year. So if you have any questions about any of the books I shared or how I'm approaching my second graders curriculum, please drop them below. If you have any great picture books for the 1900s, I am like overwhelmed with them right now, but please drop those below. I will be sharing more. I'll show you one right now. When Jessie came across the sea, and it is just, I don't know. I got it from the library and I am just loving it. Okay, I've turned to a dark page, but look at the artistry. And it's a immigration story. And so I have a whole bunch, but if you have any more from any of the 1900s, let me know and I will check it out from the library and see if we would add it to our list. And I'll be sharing that list as soon as I am able. Thank you again for watching and have a blessed day.